Good morning and welcome to Unity of Fort Worth. I always say morning. Good afternoon. If you'll please rise as you're able and let's sing our first song and let's get this thing going. If every man in the world had his mind set on freedom, if every man in the world sang a sweet song of peace, if every man in every nation, young and old, each generation would join hands in the name of love, there'd be no more war. If every woman in the world had a mind set on freedom, if every woman in the world sang a sweet song of peace, if every woman in every nation, young and old, each generation would join hands in the name of love, there'd be no more war. If every child in the world had his mind set on freedom, if every child in the world sang a sweet song of peace, if every child in every nation, young and old, each generation would join hands in the name of love, there'd be no more war. If everyone in the world had their mind set on freedom, if everyone in the world sang a sweet song of peace, if everyone in every nation, young and old, each generation would join hands in the name of love, there'd be no more war. Oh, good. Now's the time where you can greet your neighbors and tell somebody hi that you don't know. Hug them, squeeze them if they're able. Say hi to the people out there watching us on internet land. Were you up there? All right. And you can go ahead and sit down and we'll sing this next song. Actually, it has hand motions. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got love like a mountain. I've got love like a mountain. I've got love like a mountain in my soul. I've got love like a mountain. I've got love like a mountain. Love like a mountain in my soul. This is my favorite one. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got love like a mountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got joy like a mountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. Yes, I do. Thank you, God. I just an aside, I used to be in YOU when I started in this church, and so that we used to do a lot of fun songs like that, so I've forgotten the hand motion, so thank you, Jennifer.
Okay. Good afternoon and welcome to Unity Fort Worth, where our mission is love. My name is Sue, and I'm serving as your platform chair today. We are so happy to have you with us and want to extend a special welcome to our newcomers. Thank you for being a part of our community today. If you didn't receive a welcome packet on your way in and would like one, raise your hand now, and our ushers will bring you one. You can also pick one up at the welcome table after service. We hope you'll stay and connect with us and in fellowship after the service today and join us for more Sunday services and future events. Today we're welcoming Reverend Ellen Davis back to speak with us. We'll hear her talk about how to uplift our day in just a minute. But first, let's talk about Prayer Bear Month. We're in our third week of Prayer Bear Month, and so far we've had 18 donors give a total of 101 total bears. Thank you. Our thank you today goes to these generous people who are helping to bring joy and comfort to children and families staying overnight at Cook's Children's Hospital. Lane told her Prayer Bear story last week, and this week we get to hear our YFM director, Jeanette Jordan's experience with a similar program. Let's welcome Jeanette.
Hi, it's so good to be here with you all this morning or afternoon. I can't remember which. So my story is a simple story. It's one that happens many, many times in a children's hospital every single day. So there's nothing exceptional about this story. But it'll bring home to you, I think, just how important this is. My daughter, Emily, when she was 3 years old, had to have, first of all, she had 7 surgeries between the 9 months and 6 years. All minor, nothing big, but still a lot for a child to go through. And when she was 3, she had to have a surgery on her tear ducts because when she was born, babies, when they're born, their tear ducts aren't totally open and they open after birth. Hers didn't open. And so Emily was this baby, adorable. Of course she was adorable. As adorable as she could be, who always had a big, happy smile on her face. She was a happy, happy baby. But she always had tears running down her eyes, which was very confusing for people like we would see in the grocery store. But so anyway, so she was having surgery. Whenever we were at the Children's Hospital in Austin for that, and they had at that time a mascot who was a purple kangaroo named Skippy. And they actually had the mascot that would go around to the rooms in the hospital to visit the children and would also come to the waiting room of surgery and visit the kids before they went back. And so Emily got to meet Skippy. And there was also a woman with Skippy who gave every child in that waiting room a Skippy to have with them. Now, these were handmade. And I was amazed at the fact that there was a group of women who made all these Skippies for these children. Well, Emily's story. So Emily took her Skippy back with her. Whenever she came out of her surgery, why, the nurse came out to me and said, "We need you in recovery," which that makes the mother heart skip a beat. But they said, and then as they took me back, she said, "I'm sorry if I scared you, but everything's fine. It's just that she's very, very, very upset and wants her mama. So we're bringing you back." So I went back. I tried the basic, "Emily, it's mama. I'm here. Give her a hug." And it didn't work. I noticed she was clenching onto the Skippy. And so I looked at her and I said, "Can I see Skippy?" And I took Skippy and I said, "Skippy had eye surgery too, Emily, and he's crying." And I kind of made a few whimpering sounds. "And he needs all the love you can give him." And so she grabs hold of him, hugs him, and she calmed down immediately. So that's Emily's story. Now I want to, one, thank you if you've already given, but encourage you to give more, because these are so important for children. And they do make a difference. I have spoke with nurses and doctors who work in children's hospitals, and they actually use them as a tool with children to help do that, to calm them down. So we thank you for your gifts and give more.
Thank you, Jeanette. You can use the link or QR code to contribute to our prayer drive. And don't forget to grab a heart necklace at the back of the sanctuary and write a message of love and encouragement to the child receiving your bear before you hang it on the bear of your choice. Let's take a moment to enjoy today's beautiful flower arrangement. Today's flowers are sponsored by Georgia Phillips in loving memory of Reverend Mike Phillips and their baby, Sherry. Now, Jesse Smith will read today's word.
Today's word is world peace. The affirmation is, I envision world peace now. Let's say this together. I envision world peace now. The peace I wish to see in the world begins with the divine idea of peace within me. I first experience it in my heart and then express it into the world. I use my power of love to cultivate harmony with everyone. I use my power of imagination to envision a world filled with peace. And through my power of will, I choose peaceful responses, no matter the circumstance. I envision wholeness and health, embracing the earth and all its people. As I hold this vision, my heart is lifted, making it easier for me to spread peace wherever I go. The thought that others share this vision of a peaceful world encourages and comforts me. I pray that our collective goal of peace on earth touches every heart and mind in every corner of the globe. Today's scripture verse is from Isaiah chapter 26, verse 3. Those of steadfast mind you keep in peace because they trust in you. The affirmation again, I envision world peace now. Together, I envision world peace now.
If we all sing one song of love, one song of peace, one song to make all our troubles cease, one hymn, one theme, one hope, one dream. Imagine what tomorrow would bring if we all sing one song. If we all learn the words, just think how great that sound would be. And since the song is in freedom's key, one voice you'd hear, so pure, so clear. Imagine what tomorrow would bring if we all sing one song. There's just one sun that warms our day, the same moon and stars light our way. This little ball whirling in space, it's our only hope. It's our sing one song of love, one song of peace, one song to make all our troubles cease. Imagine what tomorrow would bring if we all sing one song. If we all sing one song of love, one song of peace, one song to make all our troubles cease. Imagine what tomorrow would bring. Imagine what tomorrow would bring. Just imagine what tomorrow could bring if we all sing one song. One song. Thank you, ladies, and Paul.
Good afternoon. I asked to introduce Reverend Ellen Davis today because she was my minister for 19 years. When I first stumbled in Unity of Denton, those many, many years ago, I didn't want to be there, really. I had promised, because I was kind of off of organized religion. I don't know if you've ever been there, but most Unitics have. But a friend of mine was in town to sing, be the guest singer, so he asked me if I would come, and I said, okay. And what happened, of course, is what most of our stories, when we go to Unity, often for the first time, we hear things we haven't heard before, and we hear things that we can believe in, and it's quite an incredible experience. So Reverend Ellen was the first person to educate me about unity and the spiritual principles, which transformed my life and still do now. Also, I wanted to tell you that Ellen is very collaborative. These are some things you won't learn in the formal bio. Very collaborative and supportive. If you had an idea, you come to Ellen, whether it's delulu, remember the word that Rev Eliza taught us last week for zany. If it wasn't too delulu, then she'd say, go for it, you're in charge. So as long as you used other people, she was very community focused, as long as you used other people and kept her in the loop, she was good with that. And you know how empowering that is to a congregation, is to have that trust and support. And so the last thing I would like to say is Ellen Davis, Reverend Ellen, walks the talk. She doesn't just talk the talk, she walks the talk with spiritual principles every day of her life. And I have had many, many occasions to witness this. So, and now for the formal bio. Reverend Ellen is an ordained Unity minister who served a total of 25 years at Unity of Denton as spiritual leader and later as an ordained Unity minister before retiring. She's been involved with various Unity churches for over 40 years. She and her late husband, Dean, who was also an ordained Unity minister, have given many workshops and lectures at churches, bookstores, and civic groups on the near-death experience that Dean experienced, the importance of dreams and meditation. She has a BA from Texas Tech in Lubbock in Latin American Studies. She has owned and operated 2 bookstores, which are holistically oriented, which reflected her love of spirituality, respect for the care of the earth, native cultures, herbology, aromatherapy, alternative healing, nature, and mankind's search for truth. Ellen's spiritual quests have led to trips to sacred spaces such as the Hopi Reservation in Arizona and Peru. Please join me in welcoming my wonderful friend and mentor, Reverend Ellen Davis.
Thank you. Wow. Now I have to live up to everything she said. Thank you, Pamela. She also left out that we were at the same workplace, the same college, and right down the hall, so I got to talk to her about many, many things. We have lots of experiences. I won't go into those, but thank you. That's right, exactly. Okay. Can you all hear me okay? I'm not used to one of these kind of phones. All right, I'm going to introduce the talk with two readings, and one is one from my favorite book, Try Giving Yourself Away by David Dunn. I looked it up, and it's no longer available, which I cannot believe, so I'm thinking maybe I could take that and make some money off of it, a little money-making thing. But I will get more into why I like this book later in the talk. So I'm going to follow this talk up with another little quote from here, and then I'll begin. And his book was written in 1947, and he ends the book with perspective on our troubled times. Never within the memory of any of us have the times been so troubled. Much that we read and most of the news on radio and TV tends to increase our confusion and concerns. Following is a paragraph which I came upon recently in my reading. Our earth is degenerate in these latter days. Bribery and corruption are common. Children no longer obey their parents. The end of the world evidently approaches. I shook my head. This was the gloomiest yet, I told myself. Then I read a footnote. The above doleful observation was translated from an Assyrian tablet dated 2800 BC. Gives you a little perspective, right? The world has survived for almost 5,000 years since that observation was written. Through wars and revolutions, through plagues and natural calamities, through man-made booms and depressions, through hell and high water. The world is always going through what historian Arnold Toynbee has described as the painfulness of being human. This phrase gives us clue to hope. Few of us are in a position of authority or influence to cure the big troubles that press in on the world, but all of us can do our personal bit toward relieving some of the painfulness of being human. We can be helpfully human, understandingly human, even hopefully human in our dealings with those around us. This is merely the essence of self-giving. So that was 1947, but some of the words sound so familiar, don't they? And then you've probably heard of this book, Louise Hay. I mean, she's been deceased for a while, but she was also very transformative in my search for truth. And this is a little contemplative thought to lead into my talk. In the infinity of life where I am, all is perfect, whole, and complete. And yet life is ever changing. There is no beginning and no end. Only a constant cycling and recycling of substance and experiences. Life is never stuck or static or stale. For each moment is ever new and fresh. I am one with the very power that created me, and this power has given me the power to create my own circumstances. I rejoice in the knowledge that I have the power of my own mind to use in any way I choose. Every moment of life is a new beginning point as we move from the old. This moment is a new point of beginning for me right here and right now. All is well in my world. So it goes from what the world is experiencing to what we are experiencing personally. So those are two of the things. And Pamela, could you take these? Because I don't want to fool with this up here. Yeah, that's right. You'll never, right. She not only was close to me, but we lived about 6 blocks from each other. So now I'm talking about what we can do personally as we go through the world of change, which is, the world is always changing. Sometimes we think we're in the worst period ever. Every day I read on Facebook posts of people who are upset, angry, depressed about their lives, politics, family relationships, etc. And it reminds me of how I first got into Unity, because I was caught up in a lot of this when I was in college. I was at Texas Tech, and I was in my senior year of college, and I was into maybe half a semester left to go, and I still did not know what I wanted to do with my life. Yes, I had a degree, but I didn't know what you could do with that degree, so that was like kind of useless in my mind. And then a man asked me to marry him, and I wasn't sure about that. So I was in depression, and I survived on chocolates and Cokes. That's not very good. That even let me tell you, if you want to get even worse depressed, do that. It doesn't work. So I had a very difficult time, and my parents were very concerned about me. And so they lived in Austin, and my dad credits me for having found Unity. So I was lucky in a sense that my parents found Unity, and they found it at the Unity Church in Austin, Texas, where they were living at the time. As my dad had been handed a daily word at work in 1968, and that intrigued him because he loved what he read. So they started attending the church there. And Catherine Ponder was the minister at the time, and she's written a lot of books in Unity. And she had just started out speaking at that time. And so they paid for me to come down on an airplane. Normally I had to go by car or train, so I knew this was big for them to pay for me a ticket. And so she met with me, and that meeting changed my life. I was given a whole bunch of Catherine Ponder books, and I was just, you would never have believed how depressed I was when I went to meet her. But I started reading these books, and I started realizing that I was, number one, pretty self-centered. Number two, I hadn't opened up to any kind of help from the guidance that we can get from Spirit. And so one of the first things that I read was the Basic Law of Prosperity chapter in her book, in which she says, quote, "Everything happens to me. I just can't win for losing. This is a tough world. The other fellow gets the breaks. This beginning usually leads into a conversation filled with unpleasant experiences of the day, criticisms of jobs, co-workers, families, the governments, world leaders, war, crime, disease, and hard times, hard times, hard times. It is up to you to dare to choose and radiate outward through your thinking what you really wish to experience in life, rather than get bogged down. These conditions can change as quickly as you change your thinking." And I realized that all I'd done was be self-centered. And it's easy to get that way when things don't work out in your life. It is so easy, even now I have to remind myself. And I began to think about the other people in my life. I began to think about doing things for them. And the minute I started doing things for them, guess what? I started feeling better. It was as easy as just thinking about people outside yourself. I began to be active in Unity and applying the principles that Unity teaches, and I was lifted out of my depression. I never had that kind of depression again. Later, I took an Alpha Awareness class at Unity of Dallas in 1974. This is telling how old I am, sorry. I just realized that. And the assignment was to send 3 people a thank you note. And it couldn't be anybody in the church, it couldn't be the instructor, it couldn't be anybody in your family. It had to be somebody that was totally not expecting it. So I thought about a man who had been trying to sell the house because we were going to move somewhere else. And he spent a lot of time, and we decided not to move after all that work. And I liked him, and so I sent him a note and thanked him. I still have the note that he sent me back. He said, "The Lord richly bless you for your letter of encouragement. I received it on a day when I most needed it." Just think about all the opportunities we have to be a blessing to other people. And I realized, that this is the key to happiness. And I have a prayer group that I still am a part of, and I always tell people in the prayer group that the minute you begin to pray for someone else, it just lifts you up. Because once you begin praying for wholeness for people, you experience that wholeness. It has to come through you and out to others. So the minute you begin to think about them and experience good things for them through your thoughts and your energy, they begin to be uplifted, and you are uplifted, and you're happy, and you're at peace. You can't do that prayer without feeling the effects. And it's the same thing. And so people began catching on to this. And there was a lady who lived in Sausalito, California, and was in a restaurant in 1982. And she scrawled on a napkin, "Practice random acts of kindness and senseless acts of beauty." And it spread. Someone found it, and it ended up being on bumper stickers. And then it started taking hold, and people were talking about it on television. There were some movies made. And then, on the month that I opened my bookstore in Branson, a book came out called Random Acts of Kindness. I'm sure all of you heard of that. And I bought the book, and I put it in my bookstore, and I had a little table set out with some paper, and I had people write down things about random acts of kindness, and it caught on at my bookstore. It's just such a good thing to do. In 1993, in Bakersfield, California, a professor gave a class assignment to do a random act of kindness, unleashing yet another flood of stories. And there was a random act of kindness day, which is why I'm doing this talk, because it's tomorrow. Random Acts of Kindness Day, where everybody focuses on that. And that's powerful. If you get a lot of people focused on one idea, it can be transformative. And there's even a group called Ractivist, which is the Random Acts of Kindness Ractivists. They live and breathe, and if you look up on the computer, you can Google Random Acts of Kindness, and it's a flood of suggestions. They have things for people to do at schools and how to teach kids, through the schools. If you're a teacher or if you're a parent, there's ideas galore. So I printed out to get into the spirit of things, because they suggested that 50 fun kindness ideas to celebrate random acts of kindness, front and back, that I'm going to put in the back after I get through and have a chance after the service, that you can pick up. And these are really good, and I think they're easy to do. They're not just spending money, but little things that you can do to make people, feel appreciated and loved. And there was how things work. There was when I was Googling onto one of the national news sites, there was one of the main features, and maybe they are part of Random Acts of Kindness, talked about somebody in Fort Worth. And this was a nationwide thing. And it was about a doctor who lives here. His name, maybe some of you even know him, Dr. Slaughter. This was last week, 41. An emergency room physician was enjoying breakfast, I'm just going to read this, was enjoying breakfast out with his wife and 3 children at Mimi's Cafe. Does anybody know where Mimi's is? I didn't. In early January of this year. As the dad of 3 was getting ready to pay, their waitress at the restaurant surprised him by saying the family's $85.21 bill had already been settled by someone. She handed him the receipt. The dad found a handwritten note on it. The message read, "From a dad to a dad. Thank you for being the dad they need you to be, regardless of who's watching." The note went on, "We need more men like you. Thank you for letting us all see your love for them all." It was signed from a retired Army medic. The doctor from Fort Worth said, "I immediately welled up. I couldn't control my tears." He added, "There was nobody watching for my reaction. The person was already gone. It was just pure kindness." What a beautiful, unexpected experience. He had been playing a simple dock game with his kids, and he was totally unaware that someone was observing him. Slaughter, who regularly witnesses tragic events in his work in the ER, read the act, restored his faith in humanity. Just a simple act. And I'm sure, have many of you experienced a random act of kindness? I mean, I have had several times where somebody has paid for a coffee ahead of me in a line. One of the times that I remember is that my mother, who was older, my sister and I had taken her out to eat, and maybe somebody heard us, my sister and I, talking because we were saying, oh my gosh, the prices have really gone up, and we were going to split the cost for the meal. And the person behind us went ahead of us and said, I'm paying for all of them, you know. And we were trying, we didn't. And she said, you know, I saw your mother and I saw how you all were taking her out to eat, and I was touched and decided to pay for the bill, kind of similar to this. And those things stick in your mind, don't they? When somebody does something for no reason whatsoever, a random act, those are the things that make a difference in people's lives. It not only makes a difference, but it makes you feel so much better. There was another story when 9/11 happened. This was about Delta 51. It's called Delta 51, where a stewardess was on the plane and it was told to land immediately because of all that was going on that day. And the closest place it could land was in Canada. And it was a small town named Gundar. And there were 50 planes that landed in this small town. And so the town had 10,400 people, and there were 10,500 people unloading off the planes. And so what they did was they closed down all the high schools, they closed down everybody took off, and they took care of these people in every possible way. They made sure that their clothes were washed every day because the luggage was still on board, so they only had one set of clothes on. They took them on excursions. They took them everywhere. The high school students were required to volunteer, and they enjoyed that. And they were there a week. And then when they got back on board the plane, everybody knew everybody. And someone asked to use the sound system on the plane, which was not allowed, but the stewardess said, so what, go ahead. And they were talking about how wonderful these people were, and they wanted to do something in return for them. And so they raised around $8,000 on board the plane, and then another man matched it, and then by the time the money was all counted, it was over $1,500,000 that went for the education of the kids in that town. So they experienced a random act of kindness, and it's, you know, as you know from Unity Principles, whatever you give, you receive, and more, right? Whatever you give, you receive, and more. I don't normally emphasize too much about expectation, like don't do this just so that you get something. But that's the byproduct of what you do. If you give, you receive. So there's a lot of benefits in doing all of this. So I wanted to talk just a little bit more about the book, Try Giving Yourself Away. This was a businessman, and this is a book I would recommend, but you have to get it used, because his whole book, he was a businessman who discovered that his whole life changed when he started looking around and seeing what he could do for other people. And he not only did it for people, but he did it for businesses. He would drive around and see businesses, and he would have an idea of how that business could benefit by an ad, and he'd send it in without expectation of any pay for that. And he had a lot of things that he did for people in his community because he had some money that he could do. But his recommendations for others is there's something within us. We're born here to give out to others. There's a current within us that we give out to others. That's just part of who we are, experiencing, you know, the giving part of ourselves. And he says, suppose you wake up grumpy or actually belligerent. Have you ever woke up feeling that way? The day isn't starting good when you... as who doesn't once in a while. You are quite sure that nothing or nobody can make you feel cheerful. You are just in for a low day, and that's that. This is the time of all times to begin looking for some way to give yourself, not in order to be goody-goody, but for the completely practical purpose of jockeying yourself into a position where you can't help but be happy. And so there's, a lot of, I've been finding it interesting as I look at my Facebook posts that some of the people who are experiencing, there's a lot going on. At least on my Facebook posts, people are sick, and there's a lot of worry about losing jobs. There's a lot of worry about what's going on in the world. And, then some of the people that I have on my Facebook have an aha moment, and I love this aha moment, that they have been so focused, even to the point of just staying in bed all day for those that didn't have a job or were real ill. They're so focused on being miserable about it all that they just don't get up until they found this book, and I don't have the name of it here, but it was a book that said, if you're worried about everything, then you need to start thinking about your relationship to Spirit and just take a walk and practice thankfulness. Lift yourself out of your worry. Do you find that hard to do? Sometimes it's really difficult sometimes, And I know how hard it is because every time I think I've mastered it, I find something that I'm really worried about, and then I have to remind myself again, to lift yourself out of your worry by thinking about the good in life. So I guess if I did a 1, 2, 3 about how to lift yourself up out of your day, one is to realize that there's a reason you're here, and part of it is to be a positive force for good in your life and for those of others. And then to learn to communicate to Spirit. In my last talk, I talked about we're never alone, and that's so true. And the thing that I have benefited from the most is being able to keep in contact. I think I talked about this before, but I will do it again because it's so transformative. It has never not worked for me on what happens. I think it's important to express how you feel, exactly how you feel. It may not be unity, like I'll just put to all my guides or whatever, because I believe we each have a guide. This is how I'm feeling, and it may not be a unity way of phrasing things. Don't worry about it. I am facing this and this and this. I'm facing this and this and this. This is how I'm feeling. Now I am asking for your guidance, and I express what I'm needing in my life. And then I put down Ellen, and then listen. It's like conversation with God. Remember that book? I've had this conversation with God for like 30 years. I had notebooks that I was printing out full of this, and finally I just threw them out because that was the past. But I've been doing this for years and years and years. And every single time, they will tell me, that, we're here for you. We're going to relax. You're going to be fine. Everything's going to work out. And they'll tell me sometimes times it will work out, and maybe it's my belief that it's going to work out, but it works every single time. And then the main thing is to turn your cares over to them and just relax. So just let go of what you're worrying about and turn it over to God. It's kind of like the golden key that Emmett Fox had, which is whenever you have a problem, think about God instead of the problem. So that will uplift your day. And then think about what you can do for others. Pray for others. That's important. I think there's power in prayer. Do something for somebody else, and you'll start feeling better. Your day will switch. If you find yourself caught up, your day will switch, and everything is going to work out. And usually at the end of all my guidance, they will say, all is well. Can you really believe that? All is well. Sometimes it's hard. Somebody may have died. You may be going through a divorce. You're worried about your job. Which is more important then to say all is well and follow the guidance of God, and you'll come out of it. It may not be in a way that you expected, but it works every single time. So I'm going to end now with a meditation where we can relax individually. This is important, to have your own experience, individual experience with God. So let's just get comfortable. So important to get comfortable and breathe. Take a deep breath. And allow yourself to feel that connecting link to Spirit. Feel that presence of God that is there. That presence that's with you in the ups and the downs, the sad times and the good times. That presence that loves you more than you love yourself. There is a presence there that you are. You are an eternal spiritual being. And we let our thoughts connect to who we really are. A spiritual being that existed before you were born. And will be there as we pass from this earth to another place. We are travelers here on this earth, here for a while. Our eternal spiritual self is loving, is kind. Our eternal spiritual self, as we connect, has a healing energy. And we feel that energy within us right now. We become one with who we really are. And we allow ourselves to rest in that presence. Feels good to relax, let go. Feeling our own individual connection. Feeling joy. And we just gather that energy and extend it out to those in our lives. Our family, our friends. We extend it out to those that we love and those that we may not care too much for. We extend love to all. We extend love to our planet. And on this World Peace Day, in the Daily Word, we extend it to all nations around the world, around this globe. Seeing the world from the perspective of astronauts. What a beautiful place this world is. As we look down, we see the beauty of nature. We see all the beauty of all the different peoples around the world. And then we come back and see the beauty within ourselves. As long as we're alive, we have something to do on this planet. It may be to give love to our family, it may be to express our talents and abilities in many ways, but there's always something for us to do. And we know that our life has meaning and purpose, even at times when you may not feel that. That life goes on, and you are important to this world. Feel that. You are important to this world. And we begin to breathe again, slowly letting go of that inner world of spirit and coming back to this outer world And as we do, we feel peaceful, happy, and loving. And so it is. Amen.
Make us one, Lord, make us one. Holy Spirit, make us one. Let your love flow so the world will know we are one in you. Make us one, Lord, make us one. Holy Spirit, make us one. Let your love flow so the world will know we are one in you.
What a blessing to have Reverend Ellen Davis with us today. Please join me in thanking her for being with us and sharing her message. In just a moment, our talented music team will treat us to more uplifting music. During the song, we appreciate you taking the opportunity to contribute a love offering in support of our wonderful community. Your donations are vital to everything you experience here today, as well as our ongoing work to fulfill our mission of being your spiritual home, where all may feel free to explore and express each one's unique gifts to transform our lives and the world. You can give your love offering to an usher coming around or click the link to contribute online. We'd love for everyone to consider setting up an automatic giving to provide sustainable support for our community. In whatever way you choose to share your gifts, we are so grateful as we bless our love offerings. Together, divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am grateful.
L is for the way you look at me. O is for the only one I see. V is very, very extraordinary. E is even more than anyone that you adore can love. That's all that I can give to you. Love, well, it's more than just that. Game for two, I said two. And love can make it. Take my heart, baby, please don't break it. Love, it was made for me and you. Now let Larissa tinkle those ivories for you. Come on, girl. That L, well, it's for the way you look at me. And O is for the only one that I see. I said B, it's very, very extraordinary. E is even more than anyone that you adore can love. Yeah, that's all that I can give to you. Yeah, love, well, it's more than just a game for two. Yeah, that two in love can make it. Take my heart, baby, please don't break it. Love, it was made for me and you. Yes, it was. I said love, it was made for me and you. Come on, one more time. I said love, it was made for me and you. Now y'all go out and have a very nice day and love everybody. Ah.
We have a few announcements to wrap up today's service. This coming Thursday, February 20th, is the Interfaith Concert celebrating our LGBTQ plus community. The concert starts at 7 p.m. for the All People's Church in East Fort Worth and supports North Texas Transportation Network. Unity Fort Worth is one of the proud sponsors of this event and the work that the NTTN is doing to help trans people. Tickets for the concert are only $5 each, and you also have the opportunity to make an additional donation in support of the North Texas Trans Network. Use the link or QR code to get your tickets and make a donation. Also, help feed neighbors in need at the next Four Saints Mobile Food Pantry on Saturday, February 22nd, from 10 to 2 p.m. Come together in service with fellow Unitics by joining our volunteer group, where you'll get reminders about the mobile food pantry, as well as hear about other opportunities to get involved with the wonderful work that Four Saints is doing. We're continuing our transitional work with a Stepping Stones weekend in a few weeks. Plan to join us on Saturday, March 1st from 1 to 5 p.m. as Reverend Eliza leads us through a workshop on healthy congregations, what they look like, and how to be one. You can pre-register for the workshop using the link or QR code to make check-in easier and sign up to volunteer. Then Reverend Eliza will join us in person for Sunday service on Sunday, March 2nd, and we'll wrap up the weekend with our Community Connections gathering after service. Now let's take a moment to affirm the good that is coming into manifestation for us in spirit as we speak. As we co-create our next era in ministry, we have already attracted the perfect spiritual leader. Last week, Reverend Eliza teased an upcoming class facilitated by Jeanette Jordan, and this week we're ready to share those details with you and open up registration today. The class will be in person on Sunday afternoons from 2:30 to 4:30. The dates are listed on the screen, I hope. We are skipping March 30th because that is the date of our annual membership meeting, and we don't want anyone to miss that. Jeanette will be guiding the class through Reverend Eliza's book, Falling into Ease. You can view all the details about the class and the book and get yourself registered on our website using the link or QR code. It has been such a gift having you with us today. Join us for fellowship after service. We will see you back here next Sunday at 1 p.m. for our service. Until then, stay safe, be well, and have a wonderful week. Please rise to sing our peace song, followed by the prayer for protection.
On earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let me walk
surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and I am.